Right. Well, here we are into, technically this is outcome 2. Reflection was also outcome 2. So in any case, here we are in topic 3, looking at refraction. And refraction is the bending of light when light moves from one material or medium to another. And it can either bend towards or away from the normal. Okay, so for example, in a fish tank, light travels through the air, glass, and water, and it bends, which is why when you see a fish in a pond, it's not actually where you think it is from your vision because the light has bent. So here it is, the light comes up from the fish and it bends, but for you, it looks like the fish is over here. We did this experiment with the disappearing, reappearing penny. And so there's a picture of this light ray that's coming in towards glass, and you can see that as the ray comes here, this part of it hits it first, it slows down, so it bends towards normal, and then it goes off in a straight line right away, all the way till it hits here. Now when it goes from glass to air, it's speeding up, and so it bends away from the normal. And light bends because it changes speed when it goes between materials with different densities. Okay, so like speed decreases in more dense materials like glass and water compared to air. So in those cases, you go from air towards this, it bends, you can see it bends away from the normal. Wait a sec. Light bends as it's coming towards here, and it hits the water, slows down. In this case, it bends towards normal. And the speed increases in less dense material like air, so when it goes from water into air, it bends away from the normal. And so there's a ray diagram of refraction, and you can see the incident rays coming here, and there's your refracted rays, so there's the border between your rays. Like that's the border between your used substances. And so when light passes through a less dense material, it speeds up, it bends away from the normal. And once again, it's the same diagram as it was before. We did the lab on this where, in this case, the incident rays coming here. So there's your incident angle, there's your normal, there's your refracted angle. And then when it comes over here, you have to draw a new normal. And then it's hitting into, it looks like air, so it speeds up, so it bends away from the normal. And there is the official picture of it, a little bit more clear. This is the same thing I was showing you before. And so we have absorption, reflection, and refraction. What happens to light when it strikes a surface? When it's being absorbed, it changes to some kind of energy, usually heat. Occurs mostly on rough, dark, opaque surfaces. And some light is usually reflected as well off the surface. In reflection, it's bouncing off the surface and traveling in a new direction. It occurs best when it's light and colored and smooth and shiny, but some of the light is also absorbed. And refraction is when you're going from one kind of material to another. Okay, and so some light is also, though, reflected at the same time as well, and possibly some could be absorbed. But it's a question of which one is the majority of the behavior. And let's go ahead and look at lenses and vision. So this is topic 4, and I believe this is now getting more into, still into outcome number 2. Lens is a curved piece of transparent material, usually glass or plastic. The light refracts as it passes through. The difference between a mirror and a lens is the mirror reflects light and the lens refracts it. And so here is a double cave lens. We did this experiment. It's a diverging lens, and the light rays spread out, and the light passes through thicker areas more slowly than the thinner areas, and therefore they are bent apart. And it's used in flashlights, headlights. Here is a double convex lens, and in this case, the light rays come together and converge. You can see that there. For example, your human eye has a double convex lens. It forms an image where the rays meet. This is used in magnifying glasses, telescopes, and microscopes. I probably should note that a single concave lens and a single convex lens, you get the same thing happening, just not as much bending. And then images form where the rays converge and they come together. And you can change where the rays converge by changing the curvature of the lens. And images formed by convex lens are inverted. They're upside down. You can see the ray diagram here showing that. And the human eye, so the human eye lens is convex. It takes light from an object and through refraction focuses them on the retina. The retina is at the back of your eye. And you are responsible for knowing the parts of the eye. So you have the cornea, which is a thin layer on the surface of the eyeball. It sort of protects everything underneath. Your eyeball is filled with a liquid. I'm not sure if you'd really call it water, but it is a liquid that is between the cornea and the iris. The pupil, that's over here. That's the dark center of the eye where light comes in. And so that is controlled by the iris. The iris is this part that's around it. So if there's a lot of light, too much light coming in, your iris will get bigger, closing your pupil so lots of much light goes in. But if it's like late night and it's dark and there's not a lot of light coming in, your iris will get small and your pupil will get big to allow more light into it. And there's the iris, the colored ring of the eye. It screens out light. If the light's dim, the iris decreases inside, the pupil appears larger. The optic nerve, there is a part at the back of your eye along the retina where it detects light and the impulse goes through this optic nerve to your brain. The vitreous humor is the jelly-like fluid behind the lens. It helps keep the shape of the eye. You have the sclera, which is the outer white coat of the eye, and you have the retina, which is the light-sensitive area at the back of the eye where the images focus. Oh, I got two kinds of humors. There's the water fluid between the cornea and the iris, and then there's the vitreous humor, which is the fluid which helps keep the shape of the eye. And then we have lenses, which are behind the pupil and iris. It helps focus the eye. So if you are farsighted, that means you could see things far away quite well. Close up, you have an issue with that. And that's because close up, a nearby object, the lens is making the focus point literally behind your eye. So we need to make that focal point move from here over to here. Well, which kind of lens have we looked at, which we can focus it earlier? We know with the convex lens we can accomplish that. If you are nearsighted, that means you see close up really good, but things that are far away, they're harder for you to see. And so in this case, what's happening is it's focusing in front of your eye. So to get this to move from here to back and hitting the retina, we put a concave lens. So what happens is light comes here and then the concave lens pushes it out this way a little bit. So when it comes back to your convex lens to focus it, it moves the focus back over to here. Okay, and then we have the ciliary muscle, which controls the shape of the lens. It contracts to change the tension so you could focus on objects near or far. And comparing the eye to the camera, it's not in this picture, but there's an aperture, which is the opening, which would be the equivalent of the pupil here. The iris and the diaphragm do the same job. They control how much light comes in. The optic nerve is where the light carries the information to the brain. There's the retina. There is the film. Okay, and that's where the image falls. And this would be the same object that you're looking at. Okay, and so normal vision, the lens focuses the image on your retina and it appears inverted. Your brain flips it around though for you. The ciliary muscles change the shape of your lens. Closer objects makes the lens bulge in the middle. Farther objects makes the lens thin out. The process of changing the lens shape is called accommodation. And as people get older, the lens stiffens and they might have to wear reading glasses to help with the bending of the light. So the near point is the shortest distance at which an object is in focus. And for adults, it's 25 centimeters. For a baby, it's 7 centimeters. The far point is the longest distance at which an object is in focus, and that can go all the way to infinity. We can actually see stars. And so here is the aperture. The equivalent to that is the pupil in the eye. Here's the diaphragm. The equivalent to that is the iris in our eye. In the human eye, the iris is the diaphragm and the pupil is the aperture. Your blind spot. So your optic nerve takes information from retina to your brain. The blind spot is a spot where the optic nerve enters the retina and there's no light sensing cells there. So at that point in time, you have a blind spot. There's an activity on page 217, which is kind of cool in your textbook. If you want to try it, there's other ones on the internet as well. Now, how do you correct vision? If you are nearsighted, you can't see objects that are far away. So essentially your eyeball is long. The image is focused in front of the retina. To fix that, we can use a concave lens, and the images move back onto the retina. And your eye doctor will try several different lenses and ask you better or worse in order to find the right curvature of the lens. Okay, and we already looked at this for people nearsighted, but there it is again. So you can see the concave lens pushes the light out so that it's further apart, and then your regular lens will focus it. Whereas in this case, the focus is here, so you need to get these lenses going out a bit, so then you can bend it back at the right spot. People are farsighted. They can't see objects close up. They have short eyeballs. The image focuses behind the retina, and so to fix this, you need a convex lens so you could focus it in a shorter distance, like this. Right? So there's a person who is farsighted, and the image is falling there. But now, if you put another convex lens in front of it, it focuses in the right spot. Astigmatism is distorted vision caused by a defect in the curvature of the cornea. It prevents proper focus, and this can be corrected with lens. And let's go ahead and stop there. I'll make the next video.